Good News Sports is brought to you by Faith Life Financial and Wise Choices.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Edge on Good News Sports. I'm your host, Glenn Allen. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about the big battle. That's right, I mean that big battle that goes on in your own home. This show is about to become about as edgy as it ever has been. Today, we'll discuss or debate husbands and wives battle over sex and what they can do about it. Without any further ado, let's meet the Edge panel here on Good News Sports. First of all, he is the radio host, Drew Marshall Radio Show, first every week.
Oh, yeah. This is happening. You know what? I'm looking forward to this talk, man.
I'm sure you are.
Absolutely.
Oh, she is also the wife of former CFL great quarterback Kent Austin. Hi, Shelley Austin.
And we have sex. Sorry. My husband
You
and I.
and Kent, yeah. Thank you.
You're talking about him. I couldn't help but think of it.
Thank you. My next guest is the author of many books, including Honey, I Don't Have a Headache Tonight. Please welcome Sheila Wray-Gregoire. Gregoire. I knew I
You got it right.
But I did. I
kind
kind of got it. And finally, he is one of the most popular WWE superstars in the history of wrestling. He is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Great to see you, Glenn. Boy, I tell you what, I don't know. I've been in a lot of wrestling matches, but this is one that I don't often win.
If I get in trouble over here,
Does your
I'm just going
wife-
to tap it, baby, okay? Right
got
there.
it, man.
You going to tag in?
Yeah.
Do you have any of those old wrestling outfits?
Oh, I don't want that image.
Yes.
Oh!
Are you mad because I didn't wear it? I promise you'll never see me in spandex again.
I was
It's
thinking
a
of your
horrifying
wife.
thought.
Just
The
spandex?
Christian show.
Do I have span? Look at me.
I didn't
Why
say
would-
ex-spandex.
Oh,
Frayed
you
spandex.
got to say something. The follically challenge, you got to come up with something. Ooh.
Okay.
Honey, I don't have a headache tonight. Sheila,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my husband liked the research. That's what he likes everybody to know.
What did that entail?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa!
Hey.
Well, there was no spandex, but you know what? I think most marriages have this problem, right? He wants to, and she wants to cuddle, and they just don't see eye to eye on this, and this leads to lots of fights.
Can I
Ted,
share a
please
story with
start
you?
start,
Yeah,
start
you've
with
got
the
a good
story, 'cause I
story.
know it's coming.
Early in my marriage with my lovely wife, I'm on the road when I was wrestling. Back then, we traveled a lot by car, so I mean, I'd be out on the road for a week, 2 weeks, you know, and it's one of those nights. I got a 300-mile trip. I haven't seen my wife in 2 weeks, and I can't wait to get home. I get home, you know, and Melanie meets me at the door with a great big hug, and she's wearing a negligee or a flannel gown or whatever, and
Hold on.
Well,
That's a big
flannel
deal.
is
no,
negligee.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. But I mean, you know, we go to bed, and it's like she says, "Honey,
so
I missed you so much, but I'm so tired. Would you just hold me?" And I'm going, yeah. I said, that's just like asking a man buried up to his neck in sand in the Mojave Desert. Here's a glass of ice water. Hold it to your cheek, but don't you dare drink it.
Yeah.
Unfair.
But
Unfair.
you know what? I think that's what women don't always get. Is for men, sex is a need. Right? For women, it's a choice. Affection is the
Are
need.
we allowed to have the need?
Well, yes, you are, but most women
Can we
don't
type that
understand
across the screen?
So let me give an example. Okay, a man, and you can tell me if I'm right on this, a man can have a fever of like 102.
But we're good to go, baby.
And you go in the bedroom and you say, "Honey, is there anything I can get you?" You know? And he's like, "Oh yeah." And she says, "You are sick."
Yeah.
You know, in more ways than one, right? and so women just do not understand how men work. But I don't think men understand how women work either.
We don't need to understand. I'm not even going to try to attempt that one, man. Seriously.
I-
Hold on. Somebody said to me, this is how you figure out a man and a woman, right? A man is like one of them old the old antique radios had like one knob in the front. That's it. That's it. A woman is like, easy. A woman is like the cockpit of a jumbo 747. All those buttons and dials and things. I can't figure out. My list. My wife, I call her my list. My wife has a list of things that need to be kind of, you know, checked off before we're good to go, you know? We have to have a whole week of getting along. Like,
But
what is
you know
that?
what?
Yep.
That's one of the cool things about being married
if I should have said
and that God has ordained your relationship with your wife is that y'all can have that intimacy of being true to each other and truly being intimate, and she can tell you what she needs, and you can tell her what you need. And men do need it. They gotta have it.
Do you need what?
Sex.
Sex.
Just want to clear that up.
And a lot of women don't get that. And I
Yeah.
am always telling my girlfriends, they gotta have it.
Yeah.
Your marriage, but I want emotionally, I don't feel connected.
Yeah.
We'll have sex, and then he'll talk to you.
But hold on. You're not just saying roll over and put out, right?
No.
You're not saying that.
No. But
No,
a woman
but
can.
they-
You can kind of get yourself in the mood. I really think you can. Here, men.
We're talking about drinking a lot here?
Focus on the positives
Yeah.
instead of the negatives.
But I think when you try to meet his needs, then he tries to meet yours, and it does tend to be a two-way street. But if she's always waiting for him to meet,
Isn't it important
her
to
needs,
communicate that, though, like through actual dialogue so that you
Yeah,
know?
and
Not necessarily at that moment,
Talking.
Yeah.
I
but
think it's a
before.
lot of misunderstanding. One of the, and I want to read your book. I haven't had the opportunity, but
that picture?
I read a book. I read,
Sorry, Drew.
I read a book, a tremendous book
Leaves us
called His Needs, Her Needs. And I have 3 sons, and I said, you boys are going to read this book before you ever get married. I said, if I had read this book and had some understanding, I said, it would have solved a lot of problems for us, because I finally figured out by reading this book and then discussing this with my wife, we're just wired different.
Yeah.
The top 10 things, needs of a man and a woman, and none of them match.
Yeah.
None of them match. And I think what happens is, because guys are wired that way, I mean, that is a need. It's like on the top of the list. It's kind of like you come home, and that's the greatest way for a man to express his love for his wife. That's the way we're wired. Mm-hmm. But that's not it for them.
But that's not how
And
she feels.
That's
love.
not how she feels. And when it doesn't happen, and it's like when I've got a headache and I don't feel, and it's like, why don't you feel like I do? And you almost feel like you're being rejected, and it becomes a problem.
Sheila,
That's
with the knowledge, vast knowledge that you have in this area with the whole book writing deal, is there a certain age that you get to as a man? Like you're not a man, but you've done the research. Is there a certain age you get to where you become the cuddler? Like, does that, because I think I'm slipping in. Don't tell anybody this, but I want the cuddling more now.
They
I want the
say-
touch and
Things kind of switch.
But isn't that the intimacy?
No,
we're
my
talking
wife has
about?
not lifted her game in the whole. I thought
Yeah.
it was going to be a deviant plan. If I just played hard to get, she'd ramp up, and that didn't
But
work
it
either.
doesn't work.
Right? But sorry.
Well, I think late 30s, early 40s, sometimes things tend to even out. But you still have to understand whether or not your sex drives are the same. The way you approach sex is different. Like, men make love in order to feel loved. Okay, women need to feel love in order to make love.
Bumper sticker.
Ooh,
So that's the scary thing, because it means if you're having a fight, you have 2 very different ideas of where this is going. Right?
But makeup sex is great, right? Seriously.
mean-
Holiday sex and makeup
Say,
sex.
women are way into the foreplay.
Yeah, well, not just that. Yeah,
I mean,
foreplay
yeah, I'm not-
includes doing the dishes.
Exactly.
Oh, come no.
Yeah.
No.
It does.
Yeah.
It's
No,
see,
that is
Yes.
Putting the
pathetic.
kids to bed
Oh,
so you
give
can
me a
have
break.
30
That does
minutes
not-
to yourself.
running her a bubble bath
That
while
is
you put the
sexy.
kids
Doing the
in bed.
dishes
I know
and
what your bubble
vacuuming
bath would
shuts
be.
me off for like a year, man. That is just wrong stuff. That is not foreplay.
but
Sheila,
It
you also
is.
have to understand that all these programs that Drew's doing, this is also counseling for him. Okay.
I hate to admit this on TV, but the $1 Million Man who had a manservant named Virgil, I do the laundry at my house.
Did you really have a name? You keep mentioning Virgil.
No,
No,
it was just
easy.
it was a fictional
That's
character
part of the
on
rest of
next week's show.
television. It was my character.
But you know,
Okay.
in today's society, all the stress, the busyness on the road. I mean, Ted. I mean, you're on the road a lot. What happens when? And I've been doing a lot of traveling. We have 3 little kids. I mean, you look
Obviously, you
at
haven't done that much traveling. You got.
No,
3 kids.
I've been married for 5 years. We have 3 kids, so we're pretty good. But when you're traveling like that, and sometimes you come home and you're all raring to go, or you're tired, and how do you? Again, does it come down to communication, or what does it come down to in dealing with your stuff at home, or your stuff at the office, and my stuff at home, my stuff at the office?
Well, first of all, I think we've got to understand sex is like, it's not all of a relationship. And the rest of the relationship has to be in place before the sex is really good. You can't build a relationship on sex. And I think the world thinks that. You know, if the sex is great, everything
They
else
do it
is
on
going to
Friends.
fall into place. Yeah.
Another reality
That's
show.
not real, you know.
Real as wrestling.
And-
Oh, breaking news, people!
Oh,
Wrestling
he
is a
admits
load.
it.
Yeah.
So, we shouldn't say, well, sex should work out and we can ignore everything else. No, you got to deal with the other stuff first. Like, if you're having major conflict, deal with the conflict first and then deal with, with the sex.
Kids cramp the style, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like even with the noise thing, like and you freak your kids out when you. Like
Yeah.
I asked my son, "Hey, do you hear Mom and I, when it's how's she going time? And he says no, so we're good to go.
Well, I had a friend who's got a teenage daughter, and they were having fun one night, and then they're finished, and they hear their daughter's music up really loud.
Did you just say having fun one night?
Okay, well, you know what I'm saying. They're getting
Sex.
getting it on.
Say
They're
it.
getting it. Okay, they're having sex,
Yeah.
right? And they're having a really good time. And at the end of it, they're hearing their daughter's music. So the dad sticks his head out the door and says, "Will you turn that down? How many times have I told you?"
She
and
says,
she
"Are you
said,
done yet?"
"It's this loud for a reason." Like, So yeah, we think sex is hard when we got little kids. Sex is hard when you got teenagers too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, with the little kids, we have, we still have the little gates up. So we had, sometimes it's just, what movies?
So they can't get in the room.
What movies do you have? What movies do you guys want to watch? And you have them downstairs, and then but there's gates all the way upstairs that are blocked off, so there's absolutely no way.
And barbed wire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter picks locks, so that doesn't always work for us either.
Oh, wow.
What was the most surprising thing that you found? What shocked you the most in doing the research and writing the book?
I think just the whole idea that for men sex is a need. I know that sounds stupid, but that was really a surprise to me. That men actually physically need it every few days, or something else is going to happen.
Say it again, please.
What, was it every 3 days or something? Every 3 point something days?
Men physically need it every 3
hours.
days. And
3 days?
Yeah,
3
or else their
hours.
body deals with it itself. Okay.
Really?
Okay, I don't want to know anymore.
And I'm not going to go into that anymore. But and you think, as a woman, you think, well, that is just disgusting, and men are some sort of subspecies. They're not really human. And
I'm
so
just
for
a sex
woman,
object.
Yeah,
I'm just a
for
sex
woman,
object.
That's hard
You
to-
just want me for sex.
You know what? I gotta jump in here just for a second. We have to go to our first break. Back with more sex talk. I feel like Dr. Roos on Good News Sports. Back right after this.
The preceding segment has been brought to you by Faith Life Financial.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Good News Sports. Glenn Allen, Drew Marshall, Shelley Austin, Sheila Wray-Gregoire.
You're very good.
Got it that time.
All right.
And $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Today, talking sex.
Why did your voice go
Yeah,
higher when
that
you said that?
Sex! We're talking about the sex thing here on Good News Sports.
Can you do a Dr. Ruth impersonation?
No.
Dr. Ruth! Talk about shutting down the thought life.
Yeah.
That's
a
something
vision
I
for
do
you.
not want to have in my head when.
Listen,
Go time.
we've talked about the sex life between a husband and a wife. Let's talk about some of the roadblocks. What are the roadblocks to the intimacy in a marriage?
Birth control. Condoms.
Okay, Sheila.
Oh.
Headaches, and I'll tell you why.
Oh.
Women, no, it's true. You know what? Women, for women, sex is a brain thing. If you can't concentrate, you're not going to get turned on. Have you ever heard
You
that
don't
whole
have
thing?
to concentrate. You're women. You can concentrate on 9 things at once. I know my wife
okay.
has sex. She's thinking about stuff at work and
Yes.
where's
Shelley,
she
you
going to
take
put the
that?
pots
But
and
you don't
everything.
you
want
lose
to.
it.
You
But
don't
then
want
you
to be
lose
making a
it.
grocery list.
Yeah, well, that's
while
what
you're having
happens.
sex.
But you do,
But
like-
that's part of the whole brain thing of
That's
focusing.
not what happens for me.
Oh, I know. You're all that in a bag of chips.
You want to be all there.
And men can tell when women aren't all there, because
Oh,
a
yeah.
man wants a woman who's all there. He doesn't want a woman who's just going to lie there,
Yeah.
right? But it's hard for women to be all there if there's stuff going through their heads. You're like grocery lists, and you don't even mean that half the time.
You don't want to.
One of the things that as I learned to understand my wife and how she's made, like the pressures, like when our children were little and everything, and having those long days where you're running the kids everywhere, you got 1,000 things to do and everything, and all that built up, and I can appreciate what my wife said that night. I'm so
You
glad.
remember what she said?
I'm so glad.
I thought you said you were a good listener.
I'm so glad you're home. I missed you so much, but just told me. She was looking for that affection. She was exhausted, and all those things play into it. If I'd have understood that before, I wouldn't have gotten defensive and that instead of feeling like, well, gosh, why don't you feel the way I do? And the truth is, we can turn it off and turn it on.
Because it's not rejection.
No, it's not.
It's just that we need sometimes something different
Exactly.
first to feel secure, to feel like you love
Okay,
us.
hold on. What do you need first? I need to make a list here. I got to learn something. on this show.
No list for you.
You know what you could do that your wife would just love, and I'll tell you, women everywhere would love, is
Vacuum.
kiss
My wife
them,
says vacuum.
come home and give them a huge kiss.
My wife doesn't like kissing.
And then tonight, you know why?
Well, that's messed up.
I think a lot of women,
Just joking. You're
Honey,
just not kissing her
Pookie.
right, honey.
Oh.
we don't want to go there.
Maybe you need to take some
Maybe
lessons.
that's why she's thinking about other things.
A lot of women stop kissing once they get married because they're afraid if I kiss, I have to go somewhere else with it. And so the kissing, the affection totally stops. And if you can kiss your wife and then tonight when you're going to bed not expect anything, you earn major brownie points.
Hold on.
No. If he
Go to bed and
starts
not expect anything.
kissing, that's maybe gonna
Ramp
make
it
her
up?
feel love.
Right, but if there's been tension in this area of the relationship, if you can show affection without it going anywhere, then you're building trust, and that's going to help.
How
So
long do you have to not go anywhere for? Seriously, like I mean, if you're doing that whole, I don't want to touch you because every time we touch you, you think we're going to do the deed, and we're just not going to do that. Okay, and I want to let you know that I actually like to cuddle and do all that kind of stuff you all want to do. But then it's we're talking 6 months. Is that maybe a little?
That's a little long.
Earlier
And
we
you
talked
know
about
what?
every 3 days.
Yeah.
I thought it was 3 hours.
Women need not use that over their husband's head either, which is also a problem.
Yeah.
Women
when
do
they're,
that, right?
When they're
Oh,
pissed
yeah.
off, absolutely, and that's not right. And God doesn't want us to do that.
Let me ask you this, and I just want to, when people are growing up, we have different partners, different things happen in our lives. What about the baggage that comes to the marriage that maybe, and I'm just going to play the guy side here, we don't understand how you may have been hurt. Yeah. So we're thinking one thing, and whether we say something, it's we're saying, well, have you ever tried this? We want to try
You're
something
talking about
different.
the girls who if some guy in their past before he got married screwed around with them and did something
and you
stupid.
say or do something
Right.
that sends them into a tailspin, an intimacy tailspin.
Yeah.
Then what?
That's, you know what, if she's been abused, it's really hard for her to think of sex or other things in a clean way. How can this show love? I mean, it's always been something that hurts me. And I don't know that a husband can cure that. I think that's something that needs some counseling and a lot of prayer.
That's a
But
God
if you
thing,
can if you can just show her love and hold her, that really does.
And that's kind of where I was
go a
going
long
with it.
way.
Okay, let's jump into another area. And this is where a lot of marriages, but let alone marriages, families are falling apart because of the pornography issue.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
First of all, I don't get it because men, it's going to make you impotent. I mean, pornography makes men impotent because what you do is you're getting aroused by a screen. And then when you go with your wife, you can't perform because she's not what's sexy anymore. The picture is. So you are wrecking your sex life
Wait,
forever.
don't guys use porn to turn their crank to get a bit of imagination? So because the sex life is stale or the marriage is stale, so if they get a little bit of what's her name? Debbie Dallas. I can't remember her name. She gets that going, and then he's good to go. Isn't that what they do?
That's what they think.
Oh.
But what happens is then sure, you can get aroused looking at a screen.
Right.
But you can't get aroused with your wife.
Right.
And
Ted, I just wanted to get, Ted, I want to bring it from a minister's standpoint in a godly way. In another program, we were talking about this as well, because biblically, especially as men, you don't want to be walking into that room thinking about somebody else while you've been blessed with the opportunity to have this relationship with your wife. And it should be between you and her, and your head's filled with a whole bunch of other stuff, and God's not going to honor that.
Not at all. I mean, the Bible says, Christ said, we're to love our wives as Christ loved the church, and I tell guys that all the time. I said, you know what, guys? Christ died for the church. Christ sacrificed everything for the church, and that was all about giving. And again, the difference between love and lust, you can lust after your wife in the wrong way. Lust always seeks to serve self at the expense of everybody and everything, where love always seeks to serve. And so the more that I serve my wife, the more understanding, and back to what you were talking about, somebody that's been abused in the past, I have a brother that is married and happily now, and they dealt with an issue like that, and they overcame it, but he was very loving, very understanding, and very patient over a long period of time, and over a period of time, won the trust of his wife, and again, it's all about serving.
Let me ask this. We're talking about godly sex, this, that, and the other thing.
Godly sex? We're actually talking about godly. That's like an oxymoron to
No,
me.
it's not.
Have you ever prayed
and this is
before
where I
sex,
want.
Drew?
Are you kidding me?
This is where I want to go. What's good?
Dear
and
Lord,
what's not?
please bless this
Different
time
from
of
No,
our
no,
life.
what we're
no,
going to
no.
receive.
God
May the Lord
created
make us
sex between a
Please
husband
make
and
it
wife.
work. Please.
What's okay and what's not okay?
You mean in terms of what you do?
Well, I mean, is godly sex you
mean boundaries and stuff?
Yeah, like
you're talking about anal sex, oral sex. How
Yeah.
far can you go?
Yeah.
You can say it. Come on, you're the book lady.
Oh,
What's
she's
the-
the minister.
Oh, you're the preacher. Yeah. Nobody
You
wants to
know
hear
what?
this one.
Well,
Jesus
you know
people
what?
don't talk
Let's
about this.
You know what
Focus.
I think though?
What?
I really think there's a lot of freedom in Christ, but you can never force someone or pressure someone into doing
So don't
something
go past
they
the other
feel.
person's boundaries.
Don't go past the other person's boundaries. But beyond that, we're talking so much about sex as if it's only a physical thing, and I think that's what the church forgets.
Isn't this a guy's show?
Is it sex? Is a spiritual thing? Like there's a real connection that's made when you're making love, and that's what the world misses. That's why they're always trying to come up with 10 new sex positions, because that's the only way to make it more exciting. Because they don't have that big connection.
I have to share this quote again. We were talking about this on one of the other programs, but Dr. Ed Cole, who was a real leader in men's ministry, made this statement, and it impacted me greatly because I was one of those guys who wasn't a virgin when I got married. And he said this. He says, "Picture you're on your honeymoon, and you can look into the eyes of your wife or to your husband, in that setting, the sun's going down, that very romantic setting, and you can say, God has given me a gift that I can only give to one person, one time in a lifetime, my virginity, and today I give it to you." And when you do that, and you can do that, that makes the bond between the two of you and the intimacy between the two of you unique to just the two of you. And it hit me so hard. It was like, wow, now I understand. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Sheila, if we're under 2 minutes left in this segment, a stale sex life is going on. How does a couple get out of that? How do you break out of that?
Talk about it and do something fun. Like don't always do it at night. Do it during the day. Go wait a hotel together in the middle of the day. Do something more interesting. But I think talking about it.
Can you talk to my wife?
But you know what? I just want to come back to that oral anal sex thing, because I didn't
Really
mean
quickly.
to skirt the question. I just want to say really quickly, the reason why I don't want to draw a hard line is because I don't want people watching this show saying, well, she said this is okay, so therefore you have to do it.
How
Or
can
she
anal
said,
sex be okay?
but and so
Oh, sure. Ask that with 30 seconds left.
it's really, have fun, you two, explore, do great things, but don't pressure each other. Remember that it's a spiritual connection too. It's not just physical.
It's something that would want to honor God, and I know that you're going to know that on the inside.
Sodomy's
And-
wrong in the Bible.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Shelley, and I'm glad you said it. We're out of time
I don't
for
want
this
a
segment.
Christian man.
Back right after this.
The preceding segment has been brought to you by Wise Choices.
Welcome back to the show. Well, that was a little controversial. Guys, you heard a variety of opinions here tonight. From our interpretation of the Bible, sodomy is never okay, even if it's between a man and his wife. Remember, love serves others, while lust serves itself. When it comes to sex, love your wife. For more information or resources, visit us online at goodnewsports.ca, and remember, we're to honor God with his gift of sex.
Good News Sports has been brought to you by Faith Life Financial and Wise Choices.